Greetings, beloved. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope everybody's having a beautifully blessed day. This is Anthony Powers here on Togetherness Media. You have made it through the work week. You have made it through the week. Congratulations to you on that. And we're going to get you through the weekend. We have an amazing guest today for our first segment. We have Dr. Foojan Zeine, the beautiful, the intelligent, the empathetic, the charismatic, and the wise. Ready to wise y'all up a little bit, wise me up a little bit. And sometimes she even teaches herself stuff throughout the course of our conversations. So, with no further ado, let's bring it in to Dr. Fu Jean Zane. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm divine. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Still
How was your
working at
week?
home. Everybody's at home, working at home. We're back. Everybody is working back from home.
Yeah, exactly. It's the home based businesses now is the way to go. It's the way to go. So today we're talking about dealing with setbacks was today's topics, and getting this new lockdown is a communal setback for the community and for the economy and for many people in their personal lives and for their personal goals. And we also have other setbacks that we deal with in just in other aspects of our life. So would you like to give people like a little blueprint for dealing with some of these setbacks in life that we're dealing with?
Well, when we say setback, it has two types of connotation, which is either we've gone forward about something and then reaching our goals, moving forward, and then suddenly an obstacle happens that maybe we never looked at it, or maybe it's completely a surprise. We didn't know it was coming, and then suddenly we had to come back and a couple of steps, and then we call it a
Yeah.
setback. Sometimes also it's not a goal, and we just had a desire, and then
Yeah.
because we didn't reach that desire at a certain time that we set, then we call it a setback. So there's two
Mm.
component to it. One component is what in reality was supposed to be there, and the path was there, and we were going, and then there was a problem. So we have to go into kind of awareness, assessment, and then do some problem solving. Another
Mm-hmm.
component of it is the emotional aspect of it, and all the things we say to ourselves and the emotions that show up with it, that sometimes
Mm.
take away the energy in our mind, and the attention in our mind in order to actually look at the problems that are there or the obstacles that are there, so we can in reality shift and
Mm.
move. And sometimes we need new skills, in order
Yeah,
to move forward.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's important for what we consider, what we call setbacks. Sometimes it's just really just to set you right, I say. Sometimes when you're put aside, sometimes we need to just to get a moment to just reflect and just look at things from different perspective. Sometimes we're always on the go, go, go. We're too close to the situation. We are too close to the problem to truly see it for its whole forms. And sometimes, do you agree that sometimes, like well, right now, when we have to sit our butts down for a second, we get to look at life from a different perspective?
Yes, and I don't know if if we're calling this a setback, but I don't know if we had any type of a realistic goal that we were supposed to get there, and then saying, okay, this was a setback, because
Yeah.
the virus is something which is very new. Every day, somebody's finding something new at it. We didn't have a vaccine, so the concept of it kind of like surprising us every time is not a setback. It's more like we're just kind of like learning as we go along, and we move
Hmm.
as what is necessary to it, and in the we're creating growth and creating the vaccine and moving forward, so that's not a setback. So why are we
Yeah.
calling it a setback is because we had an expectation that the virus should have been done by now, or
Yeah.
we had enough, so it should be done.
Another,
But
I guess another more tangible form of a way that there's creating a setback for a lot of people, from some people who got COVID, who are self business owners, and who didn't, or who are independent contractors, who during those weeks couldn't generate income. and then like coming back and having to pay bills and expensive holiday times and stuff like that. That's another group of people who are dealing with um, with a setback of health temporarily. Then that setback of health created a setback of wealth. What would you suggest for those people?
Yes, there's a shift of attitude and mentality, and that's why I'm trying to define this because our
Yes.
emotions become very different. If there's something that I'm expecting as a fantasy in the future, and then yet it's not going to come through, it's important for me to manage my emotion and look at it. I obviously,
Yeah.
when I don't have the job and I need money and all of that, it's hurtful. It's I get angry.
hmm
I get afraid. And some people blame themselves or somebody else as if, somebody should have done something. And
Why?
yes, I mean, we're vulnerable to it. I just don't want,
Yeah.
I'm trying for that to take the label of the setback out and say,
Yes. Exactly.
we're doing
Change.
the
Use it as
best.
a lesson.
Yes, well, and we're doing the best at every moment, depending on what shows up in front of us. It's as if like you're in a part of a tornado. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
All you can do at that moment is get cover, it's figure out how to survive this process. And yes, the process is taking a long time for us to survive through it. But the whole point, it's
hmm
part of the unknown. And what we can do is to help each other, support each other, not feel bad about this, but just get support because none of us know what's going on. So support, if you have the capacity of supporting, support a neighbor. If you are a person who needs support, ask for support for people, whether it's
Yeah.
emotional, whether it's financial, whether it's spatial, in any format. Try to get out, but don't make it internally as if you fail or something was wrong with you or that you were supposed to be doing something else. This is a communal concept that we need to be together
hmm
and move forward with completely an unknown space that it comes out, right?
Yeah. And move fearlessly forward. Like I just thought of a weird analogy, like something about like this. It just reminded me of there's like an old game called Super Mario Brothers, and you like go and you get the mushroom and you become Big Mario, but then something would happen and you get knocked down to Little Mario, but you keep on moving. Eventually, you get the chance to be Big Mario again, but you just got to keep on moving. Sometimes when you have those setbacks, like even when you're back to a place where you don't feel as big or as grand as you normally do. When you feel like you're like smaller and you feel like you're vulnerable and you're not sure exactly what's going on, you just got to keep on moving through those stages. You got to keep on moving through those trials until you level back up again.
And get creative. It's amazing when the
Yes.
first time they closed all the restaurants and then they had decided they could have it outside. So then they got most of these restaurants got really creative. They've created things that are outside. And then okay, they shut them down for a couple of weeks now. It's more like how do we get creative in this? They could still a lot of restaurants which they never did take out. They started getting their food on a takeout or delivery to different places.
Service.
So
Yeah.
service. So it's you could see like right when there's an obstacle that shows up, and yes, you have every right
hmm
to get upset and frustrated and flustered about it. And it's more like, look,
Yeah.
what are the other people are doing? Or sit down with some people which are in their
hmm
own industry and figure out how can we do this, in a different way? Because obviously everybody in your industry, they're in the same boat that you are.
Yeah.
So together you can all sit down, think about how can we serve the public and be able to create revenue with the new way of things that are going to be handled for the next maybe couple of months. So it's all of these ways, which is get ready to get creative and move forward with a problem solving way. And the way to
Yeah.
handle your emotions is give yourself the right, first of all. I have the right to have these emotions, but not allowing those emotions to stop you from having your brain and
hmm
solutions working and moving forward for you.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to put that. Is because once we go ahead and we just stop looking at it as all, first of all, we have to change our perspective. Say, what are our blessings? What are the blessings that we're actually getting out of this as well? And if we say, okay, so I don't have to change, I have an opportunity to streamline the way I do things. I have an opportunity to switch up the way I do. So, like, and I find some places getting creative, like they're making, which I don't like, they're making limited menus. That's one thing that some restaurants are doing to try to find ways to save money. Like they're not expending as much on groceries, on things, items that people don't get. They're doing just like more of like all of the favorites. So there's always interesting ways. I always say there are no problems, only solutions waiting to be found. And sometimes if we switch our perspective to, all right, what light can I find out of this situation? Like you may have wanted to remodel parts of the restaurant, the dining room before, and you didn't have a chance to remodel the dining room. Now you go ahead and you could do that aspects. So find different ways, even though fiscally for a lot of people it's not responsible right now for that part, but find new ways to just be creative and also, like you said, utilize community. That was one of the most beautiful things that is part of what you said is people who are going through the same thing. Brother, sister, what are you doing to get through this? And how can we, as businesses that are in the same boat, get through this together? Because like so many industries are suffering, and so many individuals are suffering. And I find artists getting together. Artists are getting together and doing live streams. We're getting together and recording music, sending music back and forth files. Sometimes not even in the same studios to record. Like we're finding creative ways to do shows and streams and to try to keep the industry basically alive and not go crazy because artists will go crazy if we can't perform.
Yes, I was seeing a show about Broadway, and they were looking at all of the, Broadway
Mm,
dancers and Broadway singers, and how are they getting creative at this time with each other, and waiting and passing and hoping and doing these new ideas about when it's all going to be open, and they're all excited because they know after almost 10 months or a year of being cooped up, oh my God, everybody wants to celebrate and be out there and
yeah.
really enjoy everything. I know, for example, hairstylists, which, their
Mm,
business went back down again. And they looked at, each of their clients, and if there was a possibility of doing one-on-one for their clients, making sure that, yes, they were, they had tested, they were outside, they're wearing the mask, and still, they have the
mm-hmm,
ability to do their work and, continue. The trainers that I know that they started, looking at, okay, they got a little bit more of equipment on their in their car, and they go to the home of the people, and again, they test themselves, they make sure everything is safe, they
mm-hmm,
do it still outside. So there's so many ways that people can shift into whatever the solution is, even when we're looking at, even if you're not looking at the COVID necessarily and the the ramifications of it. Even if, for example, you have had you're in your profession, or you have a business, or something is moving forward, and suddenly something where, whether you did it and then you got it, created a setback for yourself, or whether the universe did it. Something happened in suddenly policies changed, rules changed, demographic change. For a lot of, for example, people in retail, right? The industry changed. It just went a lot on online shopping. So a lot of the
yeah,
um, a lot changed for them, and it's not like they went into setback. It's not even a setback. It's more like
yeah,
completely changed. So it's more, yes, they
yeah.
weren't making any more revenue in the way they were. So from a revenue perspective, they could look at it. It was a setback. But part of the clients that I had, they were in a garment industry. Part of our conversation is, you have to completely change your vision of tomorrow because the vision changed.
Mm,
And as long as you're resisting that, no, no, I'm just going to keep the thing I was doing, well, you're just going to go down, because there's no way that
yeah.
that type of industry is going to come back in the same format. So many of
Mm-hmm,
them who gave themselves the opportunity to shift their practices online, or shifted in another way, they did a dip, but they came back with the new way of handling things. The ones that are like resisting, avoiding and
mm,
resisting changes that are happening, they're just going to go down really bad. And then they sit in this blame because they see it,
mm-hmm.
they're just resisting it. And when you see
Yeah,
something and you resisting. When the result becomes really bad, guess who you're going to keep blaming? And they feel the low confidence, they feel really, really down, they feel powerless and helpless, and depression sets in. So it's so
Mm,
important to identify, is this a setback? What are the problems? Is it not a setback? It's just completing this phase, and you really got to move on to the next phase, and you're not realizing it, and you think it's a setback.
exactly.
So assessment
Yeah.
of that really, really makes you figure out how to solve the problem.
Yeah, like it's interesting. Like one thing is like restaurants now are even offering mixed drinks, like drinks to go. And one thing that the Attorney General of Los Angeles, just like not the Attorney General, the District Attorney for Los Angeles, just recently said that they're not going to be arresting people for suspended licenses and other frivolous crimes because they're not going to won't they're just going to throw them out right away because it's not worth having people in the jail because of the COVIDs. So frivolous things like that, like they're like that's another way that the local municipalities are finding to strip down and cut down, so that they don't build up like cases of people in jail for frivolous reasons, just building up the COVID population.
Exactly. And I think that then you could see a lot of the group that are needing food at this point. And there's almost like,
Mm,
at last I heard, it was 54 million people that are needing food. And I heard like even the
wow.
shoplifting for food was getting higher because people really are
Mm,
hungry and they needed it. So it's more like, well, how
wow.
can we support this group? That's where community shows up. How do you
Hmm.
support it? You have the money to give these large organizations who are already having the system of creating and boxing and sending all of there's a lot of amazing organizations that are out there, then you give that. If there's a way that you can share what's in your cupboards, a lot of us just kind of
Mm,
like buy things and then throw it out. If you have the opportunity to buy and share it with other people. There was a story I actually heard in Minnesota that somebody was to drive through and they paid for their own food and they paid for the food of the car behind them, and then suddenly there was like 900 people who came and they gave this like forward. And this is what
yeah.
the spirit of community. This is when it shows up, when we need each other to be there for each other. And yes, we are kind of like physical distancing, but we don't have to heart distance. And when we know there's a need out there for each other, that's whatever we could give. Sometimes I give my time and my psychotherapy services. Somebody else gives their some sort of a service. Maybe somebody cooks well, and they'll cook and they spread it. Somebody has the money to do it. However
Mm.
you can be there for the community, this is the time.
I was wondering. I just thought of a like idea, like you know how restaurants have all this extra food and they're still paying these people, and there are so many hungry people. I wonder if there was like an organization that could bring restaurants together and people give donations to restaurants to make lunches for the hungry. Out of like it's a way to keep the restaurants open. It's a way to give back to the poor. And it's a way, like seems like a win-win situation, so that their food doesn't get wasted, food that's already been bought, and to keep some of our favorite businesses open. So,
Great
like
idea.
that was actually inspired by what you were talking about just now. It seems like that would be a brilliant idea for the local restaurants to get together with some type of food bank or some type of food donation community to do that. Um, and if not, and
I
at
think
the
it's
meantime, also
great.
get tax write-offs. Repeat that.
Yes, yes. Whomever is listening, who has a nonprofit
Yeah.
organization, check with
Yes.
Anthony. He's got great ideas.
We're here for you. So, also schools. More kids are like right now we're about to deal with the holidays, and there's like a lot of people who are like dealing with all of this and going back. They're not. Some people are so nervous because they're not. They feel like they're not going to be able to show the material side of the holidays because for so many people the holidays are so materialistic. For the people who are having those setbacks and stressed about that, what would you say to them? Financial setbacks and worried about the material side.
I think that's where also our creativity can be there, to show someone that we love
Mm,
them. We can create things that are so inexpensive, that are the work of our art, things that we know that we could create with pencil and paper or something that just lets them
yeah.
know that we love them. I don't know if I ever shared this story with you or not. I was working at a I think it was Battered Women Alternative in Northern
Mm,
California. And it was amazing. I used to work there as a counselor and then the head of the transitional housing for them. So we used to work with a lot of people who, and the families, women who were abused and children who were abused, and they really didn't have any place to go, and they were kind of like thrown out of their home, and some of them were
mm,
homeless and were living in their cars. And I remember working with this woman and two of her children, where the son he was so abused for so long that he wouldn't even talk.
mm,
Like it took us 4 months for him to even be able to look at me and talk to me. And this family used to live in their car pretty much. And I
mm.
remember it was the
Yeah.
Christmas time. And our agency would create a lot of Christmas gifts. People would donate to the agency and as a gifts for children. And then we would, as they would come into at that time, we would give them all of the gifts. And then he also brought me that family suddenly also brought me the gift. And then the mother said, "We're sorry that we couldn't buy you anything, but we actually went," and says, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but I think it's important for me to tell you that we went to he found this cup in the garbage over there, and he really wanted you to have it. He thought this cup was beautiful, and why was somebody throwing it out? And he came, and then we washed it in the bathroom here, and he wanted to give you as the gift." And I was like bawling, just my tears coming down of just the love of someone. I don't care where it came from. Thank you. You
Yeah.
know, you for having it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it came from. It came from a vision of somebody seeing an object, loving it, thinking of me,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning it up,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing it for me. And I think
Yeah.
this is what is important, knowing how to just get creative. There's so many things that
Yeah.
is beautiful in the nature. There's so many that you might be able to sew or create something in art and give it to someone, and for them to know you love them, even if you don't give them anything. The gift of your hug, the gift of
Yeah.
your voice, the gift of your knowing that you care for them. It's enough. Those are the
Mm,
ones that it really lasts in our it's not just objects, it's not just products, is the
mm.
courtesy, the love and attention that comes.
Yeah, cook somebody something. Like make their special dessert, like and just drop it out to them wrapped up with a bow. And oftentimes it's experiences. Like you said, experiences are the things that we remember more so than anything else. And as long as your love is in it, and as long as it's honest, then the person will appreciate it. Like if they're worth their salt, if they're worth it, they'll appreciate it. So yeah, don't stress over the mess. Like I like to say, worry about the things that you can control, and control the things that you actually have access to, and don't worry about the things you're not. So many people like get so stressed about factors and idiosyncrasies that they have no control over in their life. And I'm like, why do you get so crazy over these things that you can't control? Just roll with the punches and keep moving, right?
Yes, I mean, I think that there's an ultimate for people. Shame shows up if they think that they can't have or
Mm,
they're less than. It just brings a lot of humility to us, and not in that we get
mm,
humiliated, not humility in a positive sense, but we get humiliated when we think like somebody gives us a gift and I want to give it back, but I don't have the money to. So this is a subject that just brings a lot of heartache for people from that place. And I
mm-hmm.
guess that's what I'm sharing, that your only wealth is not money. Your
Yeah.
actual wealth is your heart, is your kindness, is the way you look at people. And if you really cherish that part of you, um, then you'll know the worth that you have, and you know how wealthy you are because of your love. And if you put
Yeah.
the
And
value
then,
in that area and not only on the, tangible dollar amounts, then you won't
mhm,
feel that. You will walk proud with giving of who you are, which has the ultimate worth.
yeah. Another thing you could do if you have particular sets of skills or talents, and there are people who feel comfortable being around you. If you're good at plumbing, and somebody that you're at always has a messed up sink, like maybe go through the sink. If somebody needs to, like, you may not have money, but you see that their fence needs painting. Maybe you can say, like, I love you. My Christmas gift for you this year, I'm going to paint your fence. Or, like, you have a bunch of kids, and I know that they're kind of crazy. Take them out to the park, and I'm gonna come and I'm gonna clean your kitchen for you. So, like, if there are sometimes we can give gifts of relief as well,
Yes.
like those little things that we can do that our friends may be able to do or may not be able to do, but like may not have the time to do. If we see something that's in need in somebody's life, and it's something that you're good at, don't you think it's a good idea to maybe try to fulfill needs this year?
Yes, give the service. You're good
Yeah,
at something, and give that type of a service. That's why I said, I know I'm good at therapist, so I do give the
yeah,
service in that way for selected people that I know that they really need it, and I can be there for them. I will open up those times.
yeah,
There families who I know that got raped and they had a lot of issues, and this is what I said. I said, my offering is my service that I'm available for you whenever you want, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour or anything. So everyone, just like you said, has something that they do that naturally they're good at or they're skilled at,
yeah,
and that's what they can offer as their amazing of who they are. Again, when you know your value, then you offer that value to
mm,
people. Now, yeah, that value could be that you were good at creating money, then you do that, or you were good at
mm-hmm,
creating other things. Whatever it is, that has as well a value than giving money or high end gifts.
mm-hmm. Yeah, another way to do it, like, if another thing with limited, is like games, like like the White Elephant game, or like, make games out of it where each person in the group, you give one gift to one person in the group instead of giving gifts to everybody in the group. So there are also other ways, like, of making games out of things, turning things into just fun times and about being together, even if it's being together apart virtually. Find ways to just make everything fun. Like, we're so serious, like the Joker, why so serious, like, if we make things less serious right now during this time period, make everything a game, make things joke about it, give joke gifts. This could be a year where you give joke gifts to each other, just because everybody's like, so, like, well, not everybody, I don't want to put that abundance lie on everybody, but some people are less abundant than they have been in years past in the monetary sense. But we are abundant in other ways, and we are so grateful and thankful for that abundance. Are there anything else you would love to tell our guests right now, or respond to that last part?
Well, there is an app actually, and I don't remember the app name, but there's an app that does that. That every member of the family comes in and puts their email, and then it reshuffles for you, and then it actually picks one person
Nice.
in the family for you to give gifts, and nobody else knows. So you only know who to give gifts to, and that's it. So that, yeah, there's an app that does that and makes it fun for people to do that. Another thing that is important is to know um, when somebody in your family or friends needs something, that you offer your gift of listening to them. Okay, your gift of
Mm,
listening, and
yeah.
listening of empathic listening, kind of like an unconditional regard, and kind of like accepting them with whatever is happening. Not even at times offering solution, just having the space that they can find themselves. They can have they can talk to a space of love, and all that shows up back is love and acceptance. That is one of the most beautiful gifts that someone can give another person. And if there are people who are stressed because of the COVID time, because they were ill or they lost people or they lost their job, and we can't really bring people back for them. We cannot make them unsick. We can't give them a job. We can't find things for them. It's okay. Like, we don't need to feel powerless against it. We can sit there and listen to them and let them find their own solution, because everybody will find their own solution, and the best solution for themselves. So
Well,
give a gift of listening.
thank you. And it was a pleasure listening to you. And thank you for the gift of solutions that you gave us today here on Togetherness Media. Tell them where to find you real quick.
Foojan.com. Come and join me. Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to that, or any of my social media. I'd love to hear from all of you.
Thank you so much. This was the amazing Dr. Foojan Zeine. We spoke about dealing with setbacks, personal life, family lives, and during the holidays, and just not take everything so seriously, people. Take it in stride. You know, which it may seem like a setback now, but it may just be the step that we need in order to fulfill our goals and to fulfill our dreams long term. And stay creative, be creative. Stay with us. We'll be right back in a few ticks. We're going to have Jason Farnham on the show in a few. This is Togetherness Media. I'm Anthony Powers. This is a break. We'll be back.